feel the power? Can you feel the power? Feel the power of double X.
Positive Power 21.org. Internet radio.
You are listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.
Hey, my name is Davis and I'm from Haiti, but I live in Dominican Republic. I'm here, Positive Power 21, Jerry Royce Live Worldwide.
That's right, you tell him, little buddy. Welcome everybody to Late Night with Jerry Royce Live Worldwide right here on Positive Power, Double XI Christian Media, and you're listening to, that's right, the Live Jazz Experience. That's right, coming out of Baltimore, Maryland, Owings Mills, and Chestertown, Maryland, with DJ Jazz and DJ Lady Praise. And I'm the Batman of Charm City, right here in Baltimore. All right, hold tight, everybody. Got a special guest for you tonight. We got Christopher Stephenson here to talk all about his journey in music, how the industry been treating him. That's what we want to know. How is the industry treating him? So many new platforms, so many new ways of buying and selling and viewing and listening to music right now. We're seeing it right now where some of our mainstream artists, some of our big-time talk show hosts, all streaming on Zoom and WebEx and all the other type of platforms out there. That's right. That's right. Business still goes on. That's right. We got the internet. That's right. The new way of getting content. All right, y'all. Let's talk to Lady Praise and DJ Jazz, man. Let's see what they up to in Chestertown, Maryland. How's Chestertown treating you guys? What's going on, family?
How you doing this evening?
Awesome.
What's going on, Batman? What's going on, guys?
All is well. All is
How you
well.
doing, Lady Praise? How you doing, Batman?
Where's well? What's up? What's up, Jazz man? All right.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Look, we sorry we started a little late. We had to finish up that podcast, The Renewed Mind, with Dr. Dante Duck. I just love the way he does his podcast. That guy is smooth. He come right out of the Glen Burnie area outside of Baltimore and BWI Airport. So just remember, you can listen to his podcast every Monday at 8 o'clock. That's right. He's in the slot where Reed used to be. So you can check him out at 8 o'clock. Then you got Lakeisha Mosley. And then you got Late Night with Jerry Royce Live with Shay Samuels and Paula G. So you have to come on out and check us out. Don't forget, y'all, also we have a brand new underwriters sponsoring this show. His name is Dr. Byron D. Hernan. He has a brand new book out called Heart Condition. You can check him out at heartcondition.org. And that's www.heartcondition.org. Exciting book. This guy lived with a hole in his heart most of his life, maybe all of his life. I never asked him if he got it done. I got to get the book. Got to get the book. All right, so don't forget, go get that book and find out if he's still living with the hole in his heart. All right, family. So you guys ready to talk to the artist, Mr. Christopher Stephenson? I'm not sure where Christopher is from. I didn't get a chance to glance over his bio. You guys got the talking points. Shout out to April Whitley. She's been helping us get these artists on these programs. You can check out Mr. Brandon. He's going to be with Powerlift tomorrow. And I think we got a double show tomorrow. I got to double check. Pastor Red and Lady Crystal, they have a show called Powerlift. They come on at 9 o'clock, but sometimes we do a double show. So sometimes they do 8 o'clock. And then you can check out Late Night with Kelly Holland and Jerry Royce Live, and then follow that with Profect with No Judgment Zone on Thursday nights. So Thursday nights are pretty big, y'all. You got to check out. Kelly make you laugh. If you need a laugh, things just not looking too good in your corner, you need to laugh. You got to listen to Late Night with Kelly. She'll make you cry, and she'll make you cry all in 45 minutes. I guarantee you. All right. Y'all ready to talk to Mr. Christopher? I guess, Lady Praise, you can go ahead and take the helm. I'm going to sit back and relax. I'm just going to say how going on. Hey, Mr. Stephenson, thank you so much, sir, for coming join us tonight on our show, man. We appreciate you, bro. We love your music. I listened to the whole EP, man. The thing was, woo, man. You bad dude, wow. Man. Bad dude. Bad dude. Wow. Yeah, we're excited.
I appreciate it.
Amen. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm kind of hyped up right now, so I'm going to sit back and chill and listen to you guys. Amen.
Amen. All right. Hey, Christopher, how you doing? This is DJ Lady Praise. How are you doing this evening?
I'm awesome. How about yourself?
I'm very, very well. Well, please tell the audience a little bit about Christopher Stephenson.
Okay. My name is, like they say, Christopher Stephenson. I'm from a small city in eastern North Carolina, Greenville, North Carolina. I'm a musician. I came up playing music in the church, and still to this day playing, music in the church. And I got my hands in different genres. And I'm mainly a bass guitar player, but I in the studio produce and all of that stuff with a couple of buddies of mine. And I'm a keyboard player. I play drums, guitar, pretty much whatever needs to be played. That's what I do, is get the job done.
Wow. So let me ask you this. So how would you describe the music you create?
The music, how would I describe it? It comes from the heart. It comes from the heart. When it comes down to me, sometimes I may be just sitting around, just messing around with the guitar, or I may be messing around with the bass or the keys or something like that. And if something comes to me, I'm the type of person where I got to get it out right then. So I may just, or even if I'm going down the road and I'm just riding, I may hear a melody in my head, and I'll hurry up and try to get to the voice memo on my phone and just hum the melody if I can. And that's how a lot of creations from what you hear on the EP came from. It was definitely from the heart. It was definitely some stuff that I put together with the help of some great musician friends of mine as well.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So who first got you into music, and who first got you interested in the music? Was it your dad, your mom?
My dad. My dad was the guitar player. I had a and even though I'm right-handed, he taught me how to play drums left-handed. And I ended up playing drums, everywhere he would go play it, I would go sit in the corner on the floor and watch him play. My dad was the type of guy, he wanted us to have, he bought all the instruments, every instrument that you can think of that would be played in a normal church service. And he used to say, if that church is missing an instrument, I want y'all to be able to go outside in the car and grab that instrument and go in there and be able to play that instrument and play it well, And so my dad was, like I said, he was a guitar player, and he started us off, the best way that he could, and then we just took off from there.
Wow. So why the bass guitar?
Bass guitar to me, it's kind of like one of them things where it's like the heartbeat of music. And then so I was, like I said, started on drums, and the bass was like that thing where it couldn't just, it ain't a situation where it just be heard. You can feel it. So I was the type of person where I was like, man, I want to learn how to play that. And growing up listening to different genres of music, definitely Verdine White from Earth, Wind & Fire was one of my favorite bass players coming up. Mm-hmm. And I listened to the Canton Spirituals was definitely one of my favorites. Merlin Lucius was the bass guitar player for them, still is to this day, and he's like an uncle to me, man. And so we toured together plenty of times. I remember the first time meeting, him and a couple of guys that I grew up listening to, and for them to, sit down and have conversations with me about bass was definitely a big thing for me.
Wow. So when Batman said that we were going to have you on, and he sent me your stuff, Spotify, and I listened to it, and I was like, whoa, this is funky stuff here. This is some toe tapping, bass move stuff. So tell me now, is this your first EP?
It's my first EP. My very first EP came out last year in April, and we're still getting calls from it, bookings from it. Of course, due to circumstances right now that we're in, it kind of put a hold on a lot of things, but a lot of people still listening to it. I think it kind of opened up the door for them to listen to it even more now.
Wow, I'm loving every single track on this EP. I especially love, and I want to ask you about Beachy Side, and I want to ask you why you spelled it the way you spelled it. You titled it, because you spelled it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I want to know why that way, because that song is tight. That song is tight.
Right. Well, actually, Beat Side was a friend of mine, Gino Rosario, was featured on that. And I just recently moved back to North Carolina from Florida. And living in Florida, whenever I had free time and I wasn't playing, I always would love to go to the beach. And that was something that's just something that's just always been in me. So, I was sitting out there one day, the melody came to my head, and again, I grabbed my phone and went to my voice memo, and I hummed the melody. And the spelling of Beat Side came from a real close friend of mine, who I call a brother to me. His name is William Purvis. He's also another great, awesome producer. But he was like, man, instead of spelling it the regular way, won't you spell it like this, and it'll be different, because it's already what you're putting into it, melody-wise and musical, is already different. So let's make it different. And that's how we came up with the spelling of Beat Side, and how I came up with Beat Side.
Wow! Now I love bass moves too, and I really love special kind of bass. I mean, that's same creative process for both of those tracks as well.
Well, bass moves was something that I came up with. I just I'm endorsed with this company called Allen Eden Guitars out of Del Monte, California, and I also have a signature bass with them. And what happened was they sent me my first bass from them, and I was messing around with it, and it just felt good. So I was like, now let me create a little loop real quick and just mess around with it. And I ended up coming up with a whole track. And a good friend of mine that I call an uncle, his name, we call him Coon. His name is Calvin Napper. He's a drummer for Frankie Beverly and Mays. And I asked myself, if you don't mind, man, can you put drums to this track, man? I think it's something that you could play and to make it feel good. And he was like, man, just shoot it to me. And when he put his thing to it on the drums, it definitely just made it more groovy for me, and made it definitely a bass move for me. That's how I came up with it.
Ah, okay, nice, very very nice. So is it hard to learn the bass? I hear people. There's Norman Brown, there's Nick Toleone. Is it hard to learn the bass? It looks easy, but is it hard, or is it easy to learn how to play bass?
It all depends on how your approach to it and your mindset, and how much time you're willing to put into it. My first bass guitar wasn't really a bass guitar. I took my dad's electric guitar and took all the smaller strings off, and I put all the bigger strings up there to make it sound like a bass. And so, it was something that I wanted to do. So I would say, if you really want to learn how to play, you can do it. But no, to me, I wouldn't say it's easy. I wouldn't say it's hard to do. I've taught, and still to this day still teach. a lot of people, and they seem to turn out to be great. Some of them are a lot better than me now.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question. So how has the industry now? This is like you said. This is your first one. So
Right.
if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing as far as for your career? Or is this like a side hustle, or is this your main focus?
Well, I was a truck driver before I really got into the back into the music thing full time, and I was in a real bad accident about 3 years ago, and God spared my life and allowed me to live and be able to walk and tell my testimony about that accident. And I was from that point, I was like, I don't really want to see an 18-wheeler right now. And God started opening doors for me to be able to go out and to do music again full time. This time, not doing it as playing for different artists, I was able to become an artist. So that's pretty much how everything came up. When it come down to the music, it's now I'm back driving trucks now, but I still do the music. I would say it's like I got 2 full-time jobs. As soon as I come home, I'm right in the studio doing tracks for others and doing tracks for myself.
So it says here in your talking points that you played with Darren McFadden. I
did. Darrell McFadden. First artist I went on the road with was Doc McKenzie in the highlight. I've done Darrell McFadden and the Disciples, Roy and Revelations. I've came from my family's group, George Dickens and the Gospel Disciples, out of North Carolina. The McDonald Sisters, and it's a whole list that I could go down that I played for.
Wow. So what has the industry taught you as far as, and again, you've probably just been in this for, you've been in it for a minute. So what has the industry taught you? What have you failed at, and what have you excelled at in the industry that you could share with others to try to stay away from?
Definitely, I would say how to manage. Not just manage financially, but manage your time, and how important it is when it comes down to, a lot of people see us on stage playing at these places and they just be like, man, that's just easy music. They're playing this, what they're playing is so repetitive, but it's really not. It's one of them things where you gotta learn the music, and if you don't learn the music, there's always somebody out there that can do it better than you, or that's waiting to do what you're doing. So that was the thing I had to learn, to kind of stay going with the time of music, because as time changed over the years, music changes over the years, and a lot of the younger guys that's coming up, I was once one of them young guys, and a lot of the younger guys that's coming up under me now, man, they are awesome. So I got to be able to try to stay with it. But I speak to a lot of younger guys now and try to just tell them not to be don't be cocky. Always be humble. Don't never forget where you come from. One thing I always do is, even if we pray in the dressing room, I go in the corner to myself and I pray, say my own little personal prayer for God to, help me get through the music, learn, remembering everything that I need to remember. And not only that, but just be able to allow what I'm doing through my music, let it be able to minister to someone else out there in the audience, and let it be able to touch somebody else out there in the audience.
Wow. So have you ever dealt with performance anxiety? Because I know a lot of people coming up deal with a lot of performance anxiety. And they do different rituals to try to get themselves together, and and to make sure they don't break down and scream on stage and.
Yeah, I think I have, but I think when I first went out there on what we call the big road, actually doing the tours and traveling and all that, I was able to go out there with my brothers, so I felt comfortable out there. But when I went with Darrell and Fat and all the other artists, they wasn't with me. And there would be times where, I'd be like, man, hold on, man. Hold my bass, man. I'll be right back. Let me get myself together or something like that, man. So, yeah, I can definitely, even to this day, I tell people, I could be playing in a small venue and I still get nervous. But once that first intro cranks up and we going, it's up and up for that, for me. My little brother is a bass player for Bruno Mars. And
okay.
Yeah. So seeing him and having conversations, having conversations, how you feel with seeing like tens of thousands of people in an arena or, in these outdoor stadiums and all of that stuff. And he says the same thing. He gets nervous, but then he just block him out. And it's the same thing for me now.
I mean, he's playing for Bruno Mars, the Bruno Mars.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. He's been there. I think he's been playing for Bruno the last 6 years, 6 or 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
The little guy that jumps around on stage is my little brother, Jamario.
Really? I love Bruno Mars. I'm like, who's the dude that's jumping around?
He's from North Carolina.
Oh, my word. So let me ask you this. If you could open up the show for like any artist, who would it be and why?
That's a tough one. I really don't know who it would be, because I don't, my thing that I always look at, man, is just, try to make sure that I got my part together and my band is straight, But it really wouldn't matter to me, I would say, because there's so many great artists out here nowadays that, coming up before somebody, whether it was Donnie McClurkin or Fantasia or Anthony Hamilton, or it could have been Marvin Winans or Fred Hammond, Kurt Franklin, or any of them. It really doesn't matter for me, because I know what I got coming out of me music-wise. I know where it's coming from, and it's my main thing is to reach the people that's out there in the audience and make a limb or something move, clap their hands or something.
Wow. Now, I thought sure you were going to say, oh, yeah, I would love to open up for Vernon White, or open up for Earth and Fire, or open up for Norman Brown, BWB, or open up for Nick Polio.
That would be an awesome thing, but it's just, whatever call comes in for me, I'll be all the way with it. I've met some of them before, and it wouldn't be nothing. It kind of used to be a starstruck thing for me when I would see them, and I'd be like, man, that's when I first seen Stevie Wonder today, his birthday. Happy birthday to Stevie Wonder. But when I first seen him, I was like, yo, that's Stevie Wonder, man. Like, I can't believe I'm standing right beside Stevie Wonder. But, stuff like that, man, it's like, once you be around them, they're regular people, just like anybody else. And they're down to earth. A lot of them are down to earth and willing to talk to you. And, so back to your question, it really wouldn't really matter for me.
Wow. And let me ask you a question. Let me ask you one more question before we take a little bit of a break and turn it over to Jazzman to do the featured artist. How many bass guitars do you have?
I think I pulled all of them out the other day and counted them, and took a picture and sent to one of my friends, and I put it on Facebook. I think I have 12 or 13. And that's not even counting the ones that's not in my house right now.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And so you take so many with you on the road, or you just take, well, let me pick out my favorite 5 and as my backup or my.
Well, sometimes I try to take at least 2 or 3 with me, and what determines what I play is really how I feel that day, I guess, and what I'm playing and who I'm playing for, and the tone that I'm looking for is pretty much how I determine what I'm going to play for that weekend.
Wow. That is so cool. Wow. Oh, my goodness. This is great. Well, look, I thank you for answering my questions. And so I want you to hold on, because right now we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to turn it over to Jazz Man, because he's coming with a feature artist. And he's going to be talking about a favorite crooner of everybody's, I think, which is going to be Joe Williams. Am I right, Jazz Man?
Yes, that's it. The one and only Joe Williams.
All right, take it away.
All right. Joe Williams. His birth name was actually Joseph Reed. And the reason why I chose Joe Williams is, as you all know that follow the show, that I love to do those artists that were very talented, but I felt was underrated. All right. Joe Williams, born December 12, 1918. He was born in Cordell, Georgia, the son of Willie Reed and Ann Beatrice Gilbert. He worked as a singer and bouncer in Chicago in the late 1930s and early 1940s. He began singing professionally as a soloist in 1937. He sometimes sang with big bands. In the late 1940s, Count Basie heard him, and Count Basie decided to sign him, and he became a part of his band. From 1954 to 1961, he was a singer for the Count Basie Orchestra. Every Day I Have the Blues was a hit song and recorded in 1955 and was among the most successful recordings from this period. After leaving the Count Basie band, Joe Williams had a successful career as a soloist at festivals and clubs and on television. He and Count Basie remained on good terms, and he regularly appeared with the Basie Orchestra. He toured and made recordings with many other musicians, including Harry Sweets Edison, Junior Mance, George Shearing, Clark Terry, Thad Jones, Norman Simmons, and many others. Williams sang with the Count Basie Orchestra in 2 films, Jamboree in 1957 and Cinderella in 1960. He sometimes worked as an actor, and in 1985, he took the role of Grandpa Al Hanks in the popular TV show The Cosby Show. Williams also appeared several times on Sesame Street in the 1980s and early 1990s. In 1982, Joe Williams played the part of a famous jazz musician, Sonny Goodman, in an episode of Jazz, which was a newspaper series. In later life, Williams also worked in hotels and clubs in Las Vegas, but he also sang in festivals and worked on cruise ships. He also continued to tour with the Count Basie Orchestra, this time under the direction of Frank Foster, who had succeeded Thad Jones as the leader of the band. Williams worked regularly until his death in Las Vegas on March 29, 1999, at the age of 80. He won the Best Jazz Vocal Performance as a Grammy Award for the LP Nothing But the Blues in 1984. It was also the winning traditional blues album in the Blues Music Awards. It was one of the first albums to ever win a jazz award and a blues award for the same, actually it was the same CD, which at that time it was an album. All right, I'll recommend everyone to get a chance to listen to Joe Williams. And one of my favorite songs is Nighttime is the Right Time. It was first sung by Ray Charles, and Joe Williams took it to another level. Thank you. Thanks for listening. How you doing, brother Chris?
Hold on a minute before you go, Jazz. Remember, we're gonna play a song before you interview him again, okay? So we get a song in.
Oh yeah.
All right. So this one is called Funk Idea. Is that correct? So I guess that's correct. All right, here we go.
Yeah, that's.
Worldwide Podcast.
Yeah, brother Chris, that is funky.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I like that. So,
Thank
Chris,
you.
my first question is, what makes your music unique?
I think it's more so the approach that I have. I grew up around a lot of old school guys, me and my brothers. So we're young. We were so young, but we had that old school feel where we where we played like older men. And for me, that's just something that just stuck with me throughout my music career. One of my motto that I use a lot, especially when dealing with my band. I have a band that travels with me too, and my thing is make the music feel good. If you make it feel good, you never know what the outcome may be. And so my thing is I don't want intros to be the same. I don't want it to be like everybody else. I don't want to sound like everybody else. So the first thing that I do when I look at music is try to figure out what can I do to make it stand out first. The first 2 minutes of the song is going.
Yeah, your music remind me a little bit of Wayman Tisdale.
Oh wow, that's one of my favorite guys that I listen to coming up as well.
Yeah. Now, Chris, what is the best part and the worst part of the music industry?
The best part of the music industry is making new friends and meeting different people that's just musically different from what I am from coming where I come from. Versus, you got the East Coast. East Coast have a certain style. Then you go to West Coast have a certain style. And being able to travel around different places just to do something that you love doing is one of the best things that I can say with music. One of the worst things that I could say when it comes down to it could be kind of what we're going through now. It kind of has everything shut down, so we're not able to play. And do what we love to do in front of everybody. And I would say that right now will really be one of the worst things that I have seen in my music career.
Yeah, because it kind of puts a hold on concerts and touring and.
Yes, sir, it does.
In terms of your bookings, are they rebooking? Dates, or how does that work?
Well, right now they kind of just got a hold on booking. Just trying to see what the outcome of everything is going to be. Even though things is, I don't know about anywhere else. I know things are kind of opening up here, and up here in North Carolina and down to Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, and all of that. But I do know that even if things do open back up, it's still going to be a while before any shows get booked, because you're still taking the chance on having a venue with people, and then you still have to have a certain distance and all of that stuff between you.
Yeah, it's still that unknown factor.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, Chris, what advice would you give to the younger generation that want to try and get into the music business? What advice would you give to them?
I would definitely say first, put God first. When it comes down to doing music, learn the music. Don't come out here thinking that you already got it and you know what you're doing, because it's going to always be one of them situations where you get somewhere and you think you really, you're that guy or you're that girl, and it's going to be somebody there that's going to be older to actually shut you down and say, hey, you just don't have what it takes to be a part of what we have going on,
Yeah. So I guess you get knocked down and get back up.
You get knocked down and get back up, and it'll definitely teach you how to be humble.
So, Chris, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I see myself in 5 years probably somewhere sitting up and watching the younger guys probably come to me asking me to help them do stuff. I'm actually getting into creating and building bass guitars and all of that stuff. And I don't see myself doing too many concerts and gigs, within the next between 5 to 10 years. I really would say that I probably be doing a lot of studio work.
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
Yes, sir.
In terms of dealing with the record industry, the business side of it, do you find that it's better to be an independent artist or sign on with a record label?
You have your perks when it comes down to signing on with a record label, but I would honestly say doing the independent would be the best, because you write your own songs, your own material. You get all your rights to everything. You don't have to. You go through. So many artists in the past has wrote songs, great songs, awesome songs. I mean, Oscar nominated songs and Grammy nominated songs, and they got their name in front of it, but they didn't get credit, for it, and they didn't have nothing to show for it. So it definitely, the record label probably had got a lot of the finance side of it. I would say the more beneficial side of it after that, because once you see that, get that award or whatever, then it's pretty much you got to go back to the drawing board and try to write another hit.
Yeah. So what are the perks if you sign on with a record company? What are the perks?
the perks is depending on how they got distribution set up and all of that. You can get in certain stores, which nowadays CDs are not as popular. Coming up, CDs and cassettes was the ideal thing. If you saw your CD in Walmart or somewhere, or if the FYE store or something like that, you definitely was legit. But the perks of it is, them putting their name behind it, with what you have going on, and being able to, somebody may see it and say, oh, they signed with such and such and such, that they must be a legit deal. And, it just really all depends on how their management is set up for what you have.
Oh, okay. Okay. Great answer. That's a great answer, because a lot of it seems like it's easier today to be independent and be successful.
Right.
But most artists, their challenge is the distribution end of it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is. Everybody wants to be an artist. Everybody wants to be a writer. And when it comes down to it, not saying that they're not talented enough or nothing like that. It's just the fact of just trying to get your material in the right hands and get it to hit, the right people's ears and all that stuff. And if you can never do that, and they like it, then it's a good thing. But it's a real struggle nowadays when it comes down to that, and just hoping that you get an opportunity for it.
So what was the hardest part of when you put together your first EP? What was it? The production? Was it seeing how you're going to distribute it? Trying to do bookings? What was the most challenging?
The most challenging for that EP, I would say me putting it together. As far as, because that music, some of that music was created 4 or 5 years ago, and I just was like, I don't know if I didn't put this out. And then last year I was like, let me go ahead and really get with it and get it going, and put it together. And I had some great friends that come through. I had a young guy named Zaire Williams played guitar on it. Calvin Napper, like I said, from Frankie Beverly, played drums on it. A friend of mine from Chicago, Jay Anderson, played on it. A lot of great guys. My brother, Ricky Daughtry, we call him Tank, he played drums. A friend named Jamie Tucker played drums on Special Kind of Bass. He killed the drum solo on that. Mark Lettieri from Snarky Puppy played guitar on Funk Idea. The Genio Rosario played piano. He was featured artist for Beat Side. So it was really, if I didn't have nobody to really come in there and say, hey man, let's go ahead and put this out, and let's go ahead and, it probably would still, because I'm my worst critic. Like, if I don't, I be wanting to go in and change it. I'm like, oh, I don't like that. Let me go back and change this and change that. And it probably would never be what it is. And without them, I couldn't have done it. And I just had a great team to help me put it together and push it out there.
That's good. Nothing like being part of a great team. But thanks for answering the questions. It's very thorough. I'm about to turn it over to Batman.
Okay. All right, Mr. Stephenson, we really appreciate you, man, coming on the show tonight and sharing your wisdom and your expertise and your professionalism and your awesome music with our audience, man. And we hope it go a long way. All right, any final words before we close out?
I just want to first say that I thank y'all for having me, and hopefully this won't be the last time that y'all hear from me. I do have a album, my first whole album is coming out hopefully the end of this summer of this year, 2020, and just be on the lookout for that. And thank y'all for having me. Y'all can and hit me up on Facebook is Christopher Stephenson, Stephenson with a PH. My website is chrisstevensonmusic.com. For any booking and all of that, you can go and email me at chrisstevensonmusic@gmail.com. And I appreciate y'all for having me, man. It was definitely a blessing, man, to be a part of your show.
Yeah, we appreciate you, bro. We won't forget you, man. We got a lot of shows, man, and need some guests. So we will be in contact with you guys. All right, we're gonna go out on the second song you sent to us, man. You want to introduce it?
Which one is that?
Bass Moves.
Bass Moves. Yes, y'all. Chris Stephenson. All my music is on all digital outlets. This is one of my favorite songs. This is called Bass Moves. I hope y'all enjoy it. Y'all be blessed.
You're listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast. You're listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.